And when you decided or when you were interested in making road movies, how much was the influence of the American culture? This is a Turkish translation. We can maybe...
Just turn it up because
yes.
it's so loud, I hear it all.
Exactly.
Now it's not.
So I mean, how were you interested in road movies, just being on the road, and how much was the American influence there when you discovered your interest in it, or maybe Western?
Well, I wasn't aware that there was a genre called road movies. I wasn't aware that there was a word for it. I was aware that there are movies that were about traveling, and Western were the first genre that I really loved when I was a boy, and that I really tremendously adored the American landscapes and all that horizon, and to be in a landscape, to be so free, to move so freely. So, but I didn't really know it as a matter of, as a way of filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
My filmmaking really started, I was stupid. Because I came from a country without film culture, and I really started it because I loved it so much, but I didn't have it in the genes like so many people who would start movies today. They have it in the genes. They know what they want, and they see a lot of movies and they experience. I wasn't experienced. So in film school, at the end of film school, I made my first feature film, and everybody had the same money, 20,000 marks, which was today maybe 10,000 euros, and everybody was supposed to make a nice short film with it. And everybody made a film of 10, 15 minutes and 35 millimeter color, and everybody, and I calculated and realized with the same kind of money that I could make a 15-minute film in color and 35 millimeter, I could shoot a film in black and white in 16 and would get to 2 hours. So I could make a real movie. So I made that. I made a film. I had 1 week of shooting with Robbie Muller, my cameraman, which was the first film. We made a film that was 2 hours and 20. I still don't understand why it got so long, because I really had money for 2 hours, but we really used every little bit and shot everything only once, and then I had a real movie. But I tell you the truth, the movie had a model, and the model was the movies I loved the most at the time which was John Cassavetes.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a movie called Summer in the City, and basically it was very much inspired by John Cassavetes, which was fine. I mean, you learn from somebody. So, and then I was able to make a first, when I left film school, was able to make a first real movie, a commission for German television, and some money from some funding, so I could make an independent first film. And that became a film called The Goalie's Anxiety at the Penalty Kick, after a novel by Peter Hanke. And that, because I had a real crew and a real camera and tracks and could really work, and we had 4 weeks of shooting professionally. And that it had very much a look of any Hitchcock movie. Mm-hmm. Now, when you think Hitchcock, you certainly all think suspense, but my movie had no suspense. It was a Hitchcock movie without suspense. So it was very slow, and probably very boring. I liked it. And so it had another model. It had a model of Hitchcock. And it was the first time I showed a film of mine in America. And there was a writer of the New York Times who wrote, this was the first existential thriller. So I understood what I had made. My kind of boring Hitchcock was really an existential thriller. But as I said, I realized I had made a Hitchcock, and that was a different model. And still not learning, I made then my third film, and I got offered a bigger budget, and it was a more commercial proposition, which was not so good as I thought, and in the end I made a film called Scarlet Letter, after an adaptation by an American novel from the 17th century, and we wanted to shoot it in America, but we didn't have enough money, and then we lost too much money because the dollar went up, and in the end I lost some of my funding, and in the end, in order to survive and not go bankrupt, we had to shoot it in Spain, where they do the spaghetti westerns. In these villages where they normally shoot spaghetti westerns, don't you think they shot spaghetti westerns because it's spaghetti in Italy? They shot them either in Yugoslavia or in Spain. So I made my historic American movie in Spain. And it became Scarlet Letter, and it was a sort of David Lean for poor people. So it was epic, 16th century or 17th century, and it was very bad. At least I thought so. And then I thought, well, finished there. No more working from any model. No more working from like Cassavetes or Hitchcock or David Lean or whatever epic filmmaking. I'm going to stop this whole business. I'm going to go back to writing reviews. I was a film critic, like you were, and I'm not interested in movie making anymore if I cannot do something that is my own and that doesn't belong to any model, and it's not based on something that I like, but it's something that I do, that I want to do. And this is finally, it takes so long to answer your questions.
No,
This is funny how I ended up making something without knowing what I was doing. It was very innocent. I decided I was going to make a film that had to start in the beginning, and then I had to shoot it from beginning to end in chronological order. Not like the other movies. My 3 other movies, I had always had to zigzag and shoot the beginning and the end, and the end at the beginning, especially the Scarlet Letter, but also the goalie's anxiety at the penalty kick. It was all upside down. And I thought, well, the ideal filmmaking, if I want to do something that's just my own, I will start it in the beginning and then slowly go on and not go backwards and forwards. And I realized the only way I can do it without anybody interfering and without anybody saying this makes no sense is if I shoot the journey. And that was really the reason why I wanted to be on a journey, was that nobody could tell me you have to shoot it in a different order. Because normally production managers and producers, they tell you in which order you have to shoot so it's more effective. So I said I'm going to make a film on the road. And we start here and then we shoot every day, and we shoot whatever happens next, we shoot the next day. Which I had never done so far, which was miraculous, because it was all of a sudden a very different kind of feeling with the actors, and because everybody had the same information and we all were curious what's going to happen next, because we didn't really have a script. So actually we had no script. We had one, but I abandoned it after the first day of shooting, and I was so excited that we could finally travel together and make a movie together. I forgot I had a script and rewrote it every night for the next day, because I had the freedom. And if you work on the road, you have that freedom. And that was my discovery of the genre of the road movies. I didn't intend to make a road movie. It was just the answer to my question, to find something that suited me. And shooting it in chronological order suited me. And being on the road and being every day somewhere else, that really suited me. And I felt happier than I'd been on the 3 previous shoots. And I realized this was me. This I can do. And if I could rewrite every night what I was going to do the next day, I was happy. And before, in all the movies I'd done before, I always at night said, why did I wrote this? But I already shot this, so I cannot change it anymore. So, and I've always been at odds with the script, because the script is something you write before, and then when you make the film, it's a whole different reality you have with your actors and the sets and the crew. you realize the potential of your story and you want to take it somewhere else, but you can't because you're in a rigid system. Except the road movie was perfect. I could rewrite it and we could live the story, and so that's how I discovered that I could be much more at ease and I could do something that really was my own, and I felt I had discovered my own language. And then I made several movies in a row, road movies, because it was too good to be true. And also the relation with music was too good to be true, because the music, you travel with music anyway. Cars have cassette players or radio, whatever. So the music comes out of there, and then out of a sudden the music was no longer score music, but source music. And also that was a discovery for me, that the music could appear in the film and in the story. So I discovered a kind of filmmaking where I felt like a fish in the water.
And that film was Alice in the City.
That was Alice in the Cities. This was technically my fourth film, but it was, I swear to God, it was the first time already in the making of the movie and afterwards that when I went into a hotel and I had to give my profession, I wrote film director. I'd never done that before. It took my fourth film, so I always figured out Alice was really my first film.
And Alice in the City is also part of the program at the film festival because it's